8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year.
Hi, everybody. I'm Billy DiMichele, and I am so pleased that you're here joining us at Scholastic's home in New York City. We're coming to you live from the Big Red Auditorium, and we are here today to celebrate the 10th anniversary, the 10th annual World Read Aloud Day. So in the next half hour, we're going to hear from 4 amazing authors. They're going to talk to us about why reading aloud is so important. They're going to read a little something from their new books, and they're going to answer some questions from you guys on Facebook. So keep sending them in. But first, let me tell you a little bit about World Read Aloud Day. It all started with a woman named Pam Allen. Now, I know Pam is watching from Los Angeles, California. Say, hey, Pam. Pam was the founder of a great children's organization called Lit World. And Lit World is all about helping kids lead better lives by reading and telling stories. And now these stories are focused on 7 themes. We like to call them the 7 strengths because we believe that these 7 strengths are in all children. They're in all of you. Do you guys want to know what they are? Yeah. All right. They are belonging, curiosity, friendship, kindness, confidence, courage, and hope. And I want to see if you're going to be able to pick out these themes in the stories that you're going to hear today. I want to tell you what my favorite story was growing up. This was a book that my mom read to me when I was even younger than you guys. How many of you guys know Green Eggs and Ham? So, when I was a toddler, my mother used to read this book to me, and I used to think it was food. Because she was talking about food, I used to eat the book. I won't do that today, but this is one of my favorite books that got me started reading. Now, Read Aloud Day has been around for 10 years. Millions of kids in more than 173 countries participate every year. Now listen, there are only about 200 countries in the world, so that's pretty good, right? Scholastic, in their new Kids and Family Reading Report, tells us all of our efforts to get people to read aloud are working because parents reading aloud during their child's first 3 months is up nearly 50% in the last 5 years. Now that's a reason to celebrate, right? Yeah. Now, with all of your guys' help, we're going to make this day even bigger. And for all of you teachers and parents and caregivers and librarians watching, you can find out more about the importance of reading aloud and get some additional resources at scholastic.com World Read Aloud Day and also at litworld.org/WARD. And for all of you guys watching on Facebook, we want you to participate by entering some questions, by adding some questions in the greetings line in the comments section. And here at Scholastic, I'm also joined, if you can't see, by a bunch of students from New York City Public Schools. Why don't you guys say, hey, everybody? Hey! And with us to celebrate are 4 amazing superstars in the world of children's books. Burak, his latest book was the funny tale of called Truck Full of Ducks. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put on my glasses so I can see what I'm reading. How's that? Truck Full of Ducks, and his next book called The Very Impatient Caterpillar is just as funny. And it's about something we all struggle with, and that's being patient. Let's welcome Burak. Come on, Ross. Hey, man.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, come on in. Sayantani DasGupta, get this, she's an author, a pediatrician, a teacher, and a mom. Isn't that cool? I know. The second book in her series, Game of Stars, Kiran Mala and the Kingdom Beyond, comes out this spring. Let's all welcome Sayantani. Hello, my dear.
Thank you.
And finally, I'm so happy to welcome the author and illustrator of so many books that are published in 25 different languages, including The Dot, Ish, happy dreamer, and the word collector. And today he's going to share his new book, Say Something. Let's have a really warm welcome for Peter Reynolds.
Awesome to be here.
Wow. I am so pleased you could all be here. I love this book.
It's awesome.
I'm so glad that you could all be here to join us. And before, so today is obviously World Read Aloud Day, and we're asking everybody to celebrate by reading aloud, something we should do every day. What role does reading aloud play in your lives?
Oh, well, that's a great question. So reading aloud is obviously important. I get like a chance to go visit tons of schools throughout the country, so getting to read with those students is so extremely important. And it provides such energy for me when I'm reading my books with them. And I also happen to have my own 2 kids now who
How old are they?
I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Wow,
who
young.
I think might be watching at home, so hello. And, if they can figure out how to sign on. And I get to read with them, and so that's so important to read to them and see how they're loving the books. And then now my 3-year-old starts to even kind of memorizing, but like read the book to her younger sister, and just like seeing that being passed down it means the world.
So cool.
So I am a mom, as you all heard, and I'm also a pediatrician, which is a kid's doctor. So reading out loud is important in all my different roles. As a mom, my kids, who are now teenagers, would always correct me when I'd read out loud to them. They'd say, "Mom, that was Dumbledore's voice. Now you're making him sound too much like Harry." And it was really good practice because I then got to narrate the audiobooks of Game of Stars and Serpent's Secret. So reading out loud to my kids was really good practice. But also as a doctor, as a pediatrician, we know that actually being read to and being able to share books with your family is healthy, right? Stories are good medicine. So when I was in practice, I would write on a prescription pad, read out loud to your parents 20 minutes a day, and then I would hand a family a book that they could read together with that prescription, because we doctors know that reading out loud is that important.
And we work with Reach Out and Read, which
Indeed.
puts books into pediatricians' office to give them to new mothers, which is really a fantastic way to start reading.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, like you guys, I have 2 kids, and my daughter Sarah inspired me not only to read and read aloud with her, but that led to becoming an author, because I would not only read to her aloud from books, but when we would sort of run out of things to read, I would just make stuff up. And I would write it down, and I turned them into books for Sarah. So when she was 5, 6 years old, I was making her books, and of course that led to making my own books, like The Dot and Ish. So
And how lucky she was.
Oh, and she's now she's all grown up. She's 32, and she runs our family bookstore. I love books so much that I have my own bookstore called the Blue Bunny in Dedham, Massachusetts, and she now runs the bookstore. So she grew up with books, and now she runs the bookstore.
Of course she does. We have a 4th author who's not with us today. Carmen Agra Deedy is a renowned storyteller and award-winning author of The Rooster Who Would Not Be Quiet. It's the story of, you guessed it, a rooster who was born to sing at any cost. Carmen has sent us a video of her reading from her new book. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Carmen Agra Deedy, and I wish I could be with you all in New York today. I am so excited about World Read Aloud Day. I love having books read aloud to me, and I love reading them. See, when we read aloud, there are 2 things that happen. First, reading aloud is an opportunity to share a book with someone. Parents, grandparents, children, little rotten brothers and sisters. But more importantly, children who have books read to them grow up to be readers. So, let's go read. The Rooster Who Would Not Be Quiet. Once there was a village where the streets rang with song from morning till night. Dogs bayed, oh, mothers crooned, engines hummed, brum, fountains warbled, and everybody sang in the shower. Figaro. Everyone and everything had a song to sing. This made the village of La Paz a very noisy place. It was hard to hear. It was hard to sleep. It was hard to think. And no one knew what to do. So they fired the mayor. Now they were a very noisy village without a mayor. So they held an election. Only Don Pepe promised peace and quiet. He won by a landslide. The next day, a very polite law appeared in the village square. No loud singing in public, por favor. Things were getting better already. But more laws soon followed. No loud singing at home. No loud singing. No singing. Basta! Quiet already! Until finally, the noisy village of La Paz was silent as a tomb. Even the tea kettles were afraid to whistle. Some people left the village singing loudly. Others stayed behind and learned to hum. The rest were just grateful to have a good night's sleep for crying out loud. 7 very quiet years passed. Then one evening, a saucy gallito and his family wandered into the village and roosted in a fragrant mango tree. When the little rooster awoke the next morning, he did what roosters were born to do. He sang, "Kikiriki."
Isn't that sweet? That's a great book. Thank you, Carmen. What a treat.
Yeah.
You know, I'm actually always curious about an author's process, their writing process. Do you guys read aloud your words as you're writing them? Who wants to take that first?
Yeah, I'll take it first again. Oh, definitely. It's such an important part of the process. I actually sometimes even do like audio recordings of my books. Like if I'm coming up with an idea, I might just kind of have my phone and start recording what I might say because it's more natural as a way for dialogue. I also I'm an illustrator as well, so like when I'm drawing and writing, like the words and the illustrations kind of come together, and even like they're going to be read out loud, and so I'm drawing and writing and saying the words and trying to get my characters and the emotions and the feelings, and it's all like out loud a lot of the times. It really just helps bring it to life. Yeah.
I mean, me too. Like Peter, when I started to write my first book, which is The Serpent's Secret, I was telling these stories to my kids at the bedside. So I was making them up and telling them aloud and then writing them down. And then later, when I wrote the whole book and when I wrote the next book, I would actually read it out loud to make sure that I was still intrigued, that I still liked it. If I was getting to a point where my mouth was getting tired and I was not wanting to read anymore, then I knew that I had to change up, that paragraph and make it more exciting. Because if you're reading out loud, you should really be hoping wondering what's happening next and engrossed in the story. And so that's how I use reading out loud.
When I'm creating a story, I kind of start with a film in my head. I make a little movie in my head. And so I can hear the words and I can see the pictures, but then I write it down. But then I will read it aloud to my family, to my friends, to teachers. And reading aloud is a little bit like a theater production, right? And so you try to make it more exciting when you're on stage. And when I'm reading it aloud, a lot of times I'll improv, and a new word will pop out, and I'll think this is a better way to say it.
So you'll change some lines because you've read them out loud.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's really interesting. Ross, my mom says that I am the single most impatient person on this planet. But I think I may have a rival in the caterpillar.
Yes.
Would you read a little bit from your book?
Yes, I would love to. Thank you. Yes,
great.
you do definitely have a rival.
Okay.
All right, so are you guys ready? We're going to do a little reading. This is my new book that I have coming out, and it is called The Very Impatient Caterpillar. And this is basically, you're going to find out about a caterpillar that kind of wants to become a butterfly pretty quickly. So here we go. The Very Impatient Caterpillar. And we could see here that caterpillar is just kind of hanging out on the rock, and he sees all the other caterpillars are walking up a tree, and of course he's like, what's going on? So he goes to find out, and then he goes, hey, what are you guys doing? And then the other caterpillar goes, we're going to metamorphosize. Meta what now? Transform into butterflies? And he's like, right, I knew that. Wait, you're telling me I can become a butterfly? Yes. With wings? Yes. For real? Yes. Wait for me. Now what? Build your chrysalis. Chrysalis, right. I knew that. What? How did you do that? Is it a spin or more of a twirl? And then let's see this attempt. Am I a butterfly yet? Ugh. Now what? Just be patient and let nature take its course. Patience. Right. I got this. My butterfly yet? No. How about now? No. Now? No. Be patient. I have a question. Not yet. You don't even know what I was going to ask. Fine. Ask. How's your day going? Also, my butterfly yet? No. Be patient. Oh. And then everyone say with me, go, shh, shh. We're trying to metamorphosize. Okay. And then let's get this, we go. Obviously, I know this, but do you know how long this takes? 2 weeks. Right, 2 weeks. 2 weeks! 14 days. Thank you very much. That was awesome. Oh, what am I gonna do in here for 2 weeks? Can I get a comic book or something? What if I need the bathroom? 2 minutes later. Hello, 2 pizzas, please. My address, a chrysalis. Click. Hello? Hello? 3 minutes later. Anyone want to play a game? How long have I been in here? It's still day 1. This is taking forever. That's it. I feel metamorphosized enough. All right, so that's where we're going to stop. So hopefully you guys are going to get a chance to see what happens next.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That is one very impatient caterpillar,
Yes.
but I still think I win. Yeah.
That'll be my next book.
Here's the great thing about reading aloud, guys. You can do it in so many ways. You can read aloud to yourself, like the authors do when they're writing. You can read aloud to a favorite pet or your favorite stuffed animal. True. But mostly, and the most fun, is to read to each other. My mom used to read to me at bedtime. Do you guys get read to at bedtime ever? Yeah, my mom used to read to me at bedtime, and it used to make me so happy because I used to feel like I was connecting with her and with the story. What are some of your favorite read aloud moments?
Well, growing up, our big sister Jane would read us the stories that she was reading in high school. So she read a Shakespeare and
Wow.
Charles Dickens, David Copperfield, and Oliver Twist. And we were absolutely fascinated with those. And I think that inspired us to read more and more challenging books. And I think it also influenced the kind of writing that I do today.
Right.
So my parents are immigrants from India, and they would tell me Bengali folk tales, and my grandma would also tell me them when I would go to visit her in India. And I'd try to follow along to get my Bengali reading better. And then they would also read me English children's stories that they themselves hadn't read because they didn't grow up here. So we would be kind of experiencing the story together. And I remember there was this one story, I think it was a Grover Sesame Street story that my mom was reading, and she didn't know how the book ended. And so she got to the last page and she started laughing so hard that she couldn't tell me what was on the page because she was just figuring out what was on the page herself. So that's one of my favorite memories.
And you used to read Harry Potter aloud to your kids, obviously.
I did.
Did you read the whole series out loud?
I did. I read the whole series, and it's hard to remember all those voices. So that's why my kids kept me on my toes. They were like, Dumbledore, no, that's Snape's voice.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say definitely reading with my kids now is just incredible, like creating those memories right now. But I also love getting to go to schools. And like when you go to schools and like I get to read with students like you, and sometimes like the kids have read my books or will read and I get to see like that energy, or I get to hear the kids do some of the dialogue because a lot of my books are dialogue based. So it's almost like I give the kids a chance to play one of the characters. And so those experiences of whether it be like my Caterpillar book where they get to play the other character and having those back and forths and feeling that you know, getting those laughs and feeling the energy and just seeing the characters come to life, those are some of my, I think, favorite read aloud moments. Yeah.
Sayantani, you also mentioned this just before. You said you started by telling stories at bedtime to your kids, and that these stories became the stories of the book. That was an important piece of how you connected with them and with them with the stories. Mm-hmm. Would you do us the honor of reading one of your stories in the book?
Absolutely, I'd be
great.
delighted to. So My series is called Kiran Mala and the Kingdom Beyond, and it's an adventure series that's based on the folk tales that I would hear as a little girl when I would go to India. And I'm going to read to you from the second book, which is called Game of Stars. But in case you haven't read the first book, The Serpent's Secret, it is about a 6th grader from Parsippany, New Jersey, who thinks she's just an ordinary kid, an ordinary daughter of immigrants. She thinks from India. But on the morning of her 12th birthday, she comes home to find her parents have been whisked off to another dimension by a drooling, scary, giant monster called a Rakshasa demon. And she has to go off on a winged horse with some friends to save her parents, New Jersey, and maybe the entire universe. So that's the first book. You'll have to read it to see if she does save the entire universe. And this is the beginning of book 2, Game of Stars. And in the beginning of this book, Kiran Mala has come back to New Jersey. Oh, so I guess that's a spoiler. New Jersey's still around, so she comes back to New Jersey. And her friends from the other dimension have not been in touch. They haven't called her, they haven't texted her, they haven't emailed her, they haven't dropped by, none of that. And so she's a little bit mad when this happens. Chapter 1, A Demoness in My Room. The first time the demon queen appeared in my bedroom, I tried to decapitate her with my solar system nightlight. I was fast asleep, but I got woken up by the freaky sound of buzzing. Then I smelled that rancid, belchy, acidy odor I'd come to associate with the Rakshasa during my adventures in the Kingdom Beyond 7 Oceans and 13 Rivers last fall. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw her outline. Pointy crown on her giant head, sharp horns peeking out of her dark hair, and evil talons reaching out from her long arms. And if that wasn't bad enough, the demoness had with her some giant, evil-looking bees. Can you all go bzzz, like for the bees? Bzzz, right? I reached for my magic bow and quiver under my bed, but when my hand came up empty, I remembered I'd left them in my locker at school. So instead, I laced my fingers through the plastic rings of Saturn, yanked my old nightlight from the socket, and spun the entire solar system like a flying discus right at the monster's head. Unfortunately, the sun and orbiting planets never managed to hit her. To my shock, the plastic solar system just sailed through her see-through, sari-clad body, crashing onto the front of my princess pretty pants dresser, part of the disgusting princess-themed bedroom set my parents bought me when I was 4, I don't know. Honestly, Moon Girl, is that any way to greet the mother of an old friend? The Rakshasa's fangs glinted in the moonlight that streamed through my curtainless windows. As she spoke, bees flew out of her mouth as if carrying her words on wings. She stretched a claw-like hand toward the fallen nightlight and made the plastic explode with a bang. Stop that! I ran out of bed, throwing my bedside glass of water onto the place that my bubblegum pink carpet was burning. It basically did nothing to squelch the flames, though. I backed off super quick as the bees swarming around the demoness's head seemed to speed up their swirly flying patterns. You're gonna burn the whole house down! The smell of melting plastic gagged me as Mercury and Venus started ooblecking right before my eyes. Spoil sport, the demoness drawled. But she did lean over and breathe an icy gust of wind onto the burning planets, a little mini hailstorm, leaving a charred and smelly solar system on my bedroom floor. The thing is, being a hero always seems so awesome in the movies. It's all finding your inner bravery and embracing your destiny, fighting monsters and saving the innocent. If you're lucky, you get your own theme song. and maybe a wisecracking sidekick animal, or a bunch of heroic friends helping you on your spectacular adventures. But that wasn't the way it worked out for me.
Awesome.
That is so great. I'm really relieved New Jersey was saved. So that's an important piece of that. I think you guys are all superheroes, by the way. Don't you think they're superheroes because of the words they write? I know. I agree.
Thank you.
So we're getting some great questions from Facebook. All right. Oh, here's a good one. So students from Indiana and Iowa, the I states, want to know how you guys became authors. That's an interesting one. Who wants to take that one first?
Would you like to start? Yeah.
Well, I had all sorts of other jobs, right? I got to take care of kids in my office as a pediatrician, and I got to be a teacher. But all those things have to do with stories, right? I got to listen to kids tell me their stories, right? And I got to listen to my students tell me their stories. And so when I wrote these books, I wrote them in order to be able to tell the stories that my grandmother had told me to my kids. Because when I was growing up, I never got to see kids who looked like me being superheroes and being awesome and saving the world. And I wanted my kids to have all sorts of heroes to look up to. And so that's how I wrote The Game of Stars. First The Serpent Secret and then The Game of Stars.
Did you guys know when you were younger that you were going to write? That was it? This was the only thing you were going to do?
I had dreams of playing basketball, but
well, you're tall enough. Yeah.
But no, I mean, yeah, I love to do this. Like, this is what I've always wanted to do. And one thing I do, I want to tell the students, I always tell kids, is because when I go do school visits, the kids always show me their stories and their drawings. And the only difference between like what I do as an author or illustrator now, I mean, like when you write a story and when you draw, like in school or in class or with work, like you are an author. Like you're all doing that. The only difference is I've just continued to do it as I got older. So it's like, understand that you guys are also authors and illustrators when you're coming up with your stories, when you're making your drawings. So the only difference is I've just continued to do it. Yeah.
So no basketball in your future?
No, just on weekends.
Yeah. I played basketball from the bench.
You did?
Yeah, from the bench. I played it very poorly.
No, that's a good.
It was bad.
It's a good seat.
Yeah. Well, I love to draw. As soon as I learned how to pick up a pencil, I started drawing. How many artists do we have out there?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, of course, if you know, I wrote a book called The Dot and Ish and Sky Color. So I think that everybody are artists, right? But some of us keep going and we never stop. And that's really my wish for all of you out there. If you're feeling creative and you like to draw and to write and use your imagination, keep going, never stop, because that's how you get better at stuff, right? If you give up on it, you get rusty. And so I just never stopped. And in the 7th grade, my math teacher asked me if I could teach using my storytelling and my art. And I made a comic book. And when he looked at it, he said, wow, this is a cool story. This is a neat way to teach math. He said, do you know what you've done? I said, well, I made a comic book. He said, well, it's also called a storyboard. How would you like to, it's what a filmmaker uses to plan out a film. How would you like to make an animated film of your story? So at age 12, I made my very first animated film to teach.
12 years old.
12 years old. And I'm like, that was fun. I want to do this again. So, and again, I kept going and I never stopped.
Well, you're a great storyteller.
Thanks, Billy.
Sayantani, I'm going to throw this question to you. This is from PS120K. It's from Ellie C. in the 2nd grade.
Ellie C.
And it's Ellie's birthday. Oh. Happy birthday, Ellie.
Happy birthday, Ellie C.
How do you come up with the ideas for your books? Because a lot of them came from stories, but is that how all of your ideas come?
A lot of them come from, so the ideas in my book, a lot of them come from these fun folk tales that my grandma would tell me about flying horses and these demons who rhyme. I didn't read you a rhyming part, but who rhyme when they're chasing you. I don't know why they do it, they just do. Terrible rhymes, right? Dirty socks and stinky feet. I smell royal human meat. That's the kind of stuff they say, right? Terrible rhymes. And so I had this wealth of great stories, but I grew up in the U.S. I grew up in Ohio and then in New Jersey. And so I took those stories and I kind of made them my own and I changed them. And that to me is the real joy of being able to write, is being able to take stories that are so dear to you, but also play with them and change them and really make them your own.
Ross, this is a question from Miss Faye's class in New Jersey. New Jersey's a nice theme. It's an ongoing theme here today. What was your favorite read aloud growing up?
Oh, my favorite. Oh my goodness, that's. Oh man, I mean, I love Where the Wild Things Are. I love all Dr. Seuss, Shel Silverstein. So I think I love giraffes. Giraffes are my favorite animal, and so a giraffe and a half, Shel Silverstein, is probably one of them. I'd say. Yeah, I'd go with that. I'd go with the giraffe and a half.
And I love Giraffes Can't Dance.
Oh yes,
Also
fantastic. Yes, Jones.
Yeah. Peter, in your very latest book, Say Something, you encourage kids to use their voice to help change the world. How can words do that?
Well, I believe that everybody, even if you're quiet, you've got a lot of cool stuff going on inside of your head, you know. And some of us are a bit braver, you know, to get up on stage, which I guess makes a lot of people nervous, right? If you don't want to be up on stage, or if maybe your words aren't your thing yet, there's still other ways of saying something, and we need to hear all of your ideas, because, you know, this world, we've got a lot of problems that we're trying to fix, right? We're trying to clean up the ocean, trying to get people to be nicer to each other, and so we need everybody's ideas, not just a couple of loud people. We need everybody to tell us what you're thinking and feeling and what you're dreaming, and you can do that in a lot of different ways, right? Through your art, your music, or just by showing up.
Well, we have a really this is a treat. You're going to read your new book, Say Something, but you're not going to read it alone.
That's right.
You have a little help from today's other authors, right?
That's a very cool thing about Read Alouds. You can actually do it together.
So this book isn't even out yet. This is the first time you're ever going to be hearing these wonderful words from Peter Reynolds' new book, Say Something.
Awesome. Let's go. Yeah?
Let's do it.
So yeah, this is the world premiere Read Aloud, and I'm so excited to have you guys help with it. We're going to take turns, okay?
It's an honor.
So, say something. The world needs your voice.
Mine?
Yes, yours. It doesn't need to be perfect, as long as it's from your heart. You don't have to be loud. Powerful words can be a whisper. You can say something in so many ways. With words, with action, with creativity.
If you see someone lonely, say something just by being there for them.
If you see an empty canvas, say something with your brush.
If you see an empty lot, say something by planting a seed and watching it bloom.
If you see someone being hurt, say something by being brave.
Hey, stop. If you see something beautiful, say something with a poem.
If you have a brilliant idea, say something with confidence.
Eureka! If you want to show the world who you are, say something with style.
Ta-da! If you are angry, say something to help people understand.
You made me feel invisible, and that really hurt.
I'm really sorry.
If you see an injustice, say something peacefully. Inspire others to do the same.
Sometimes you'll say something and no one will be listening. But keep saying what is in your heart, and you'll find someone who listens.
Keep saying it, and you may be surprised to find the whole world listening.
If you're grateful for being alive, quietly say something to the stars, to the universe.
Some people find it easier to say something than others, but everyone has something to say.
So, when you're ready,
Say something.
Your voice can inspire, heal, and transform. Your voice can change the world. Are you ready to say something? Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Wow. What an important message. What a beautiful message. I think we all have something to say. Can we say thank you? Thank you. That was
Thank you.
absolutely beautiful. I can't thank you guys enough for being here today, for joining us to celebrate World Read Aloud Day. And to all of you guys out there watching on Facebook, I hope you join the celebration as well and read aloud to someone today. Teachers, parents, caregivers, there are so many resources for World Read Aloud Day available at scholastic.com/World Read Aloud Day and litworld.org/WARD. Plus, you can continue the magic and reading aloud on Harry Potter Book Night, which is just a week away on Friday, February the 8th. So from all of us guys here at Scholastic and our amazing partner, Lit World, we want to thank you for joining the celebration. I have one last little surprise for you. It is a World Read Aloud message from somebody you guys may know. How many of you guys know Dave Pilkey? I thought you might. So why don't we all together on Dave Pilkey's cue say Happy World Read Aloud Day. We're going to do it as a countdown, okay? I'm going to have you guys hold it because you're in the middle. And on a count of 3, okay, we're going to scream as loud as we can, and you guys watching, you do the same. We're going to scream Happy World Read Aloud Day. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody watching. Have a great Read Aloud Day.